This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is unofficial reviews of movies from Creature Features. It's back, and it is the 30th, and well, it's going to be the 31st by the time this comes out, or whatever, you know. Anyway, yeah. This is this was Ants. This was the 77 version of Ants. Susan Summers and a couple of people from Bionic Man and a couple other people in it in the 70s. Not the later one. They did make that joke early on in the story that it was that it wasn't the 1990s Pixar movie. Ants and Bugs Life. Real brief, back in the 90s there was a group that used to live across the street from us, and they were animators, and we at one time my friends and I crashed their Halloween party, and they were doing animations on the wall and stuff. They crashed Halloween party. They invited us in. There was a wolf man dancing around and stuff, and the animators. Turned out they worked for Pixar, and they were working on a movie called A Bug's Life, which was cool. But yeah, we were tossed out after my friend Tim drank most of the beer out of the cooler. Anyway, so let's get on with the rest of the story. Oh, and I drew pictures on their wall of LaForge Visors and Enterprises just on their whiteboard. There was a whiteboard, you could erase it, dry erase board. Yeah. That's the wrong thing. We're Pixar. Star Trek, it's not Star Trek. Anyway, but anyway, they moved. They're gone. Ironically, one of the friends, Jim Buffkin, always wanted to crash a party, but in 1995 we crashed, or when that was, we crashed a party. Pixar. Yeah. Let me check to see something here. Okay, A Bug's Life came out in 98, so it must have been 97? Or probably around 97. 96, 97. Around there. Anyway, so yeah, it takes a while to make those. Anyway, so, this was Ants. This was a movie set in I guess a chalet or hotel. And there's an old lady there, and the makeup was kind of weird on her. It was kind of like ashen and weird. Still wasn't very good. Susan Summers and two other people are in it. And the character that played, that's the Three's Company lady, was it? Chrissy from Three's Company. If you're familiar with that TV show, it was from the 70s. There was John Ritter, and the other two were roommates. It was like shocking because it was the 70s. It was a guy with two ladies as roommates, but no, he's supposed to be a gay. He's a queer, so he doesn't, they said back then. So yeah, they had Mr. Furley, and then they replaced him with Mr. Roper, and then they had he's the landlord. Yeah, and One Day at a Time was similar, and they had the Schneider, who was clearly the janitor guy, and probably not the father of the kids in that one. Maybe she was, maybe not. Anyway, so yeah, back to Ants. Let's just get on with the story and do it quickly. Environmental disaster movie. Came out a year after the Milpieces Monster. Anyway, but it had some stars in it, so it more like a TV movie. It was 4:3 ratio. It's probably a TV movie. They're doing a lot of those lately. It's so very good. Everybody, all the men in it are either dippy or boorish or stuck up. It's funny. The women are frantic and vapors and whatever. Throwing back to that idea that goes back to the Victorian era, just as that was just ending, in which women were forced to wear outfits that were very constricting for their lungs and other parts, and their chest and whatever. to make them look more full, and it messed up their breathing. So of course they had the vapors and they couldn't breathe because they literally couldn't breathe. They should have figured on that. Yeah. But this movie, they were immodestly, you know, sometimes they were wearing bathing suits because it was supposed to be a country club in the summer. They're doing a construction of a new hotel next to it. So there's a kid in it who is quickly dispatched early on in the first act. There's, but not killed, just dispatched. Almost. There's a pool at the hotel, and there's no lifeguard, and the kid drowns, almost drowns in the pool, and then they take him away after encountering the ants. This is after workmen die from the ant attack. They can't figure out what the ant attack is, and the ants are coming, and whatever story. I guess it's an ant-phobia movie. It's probably the director fried on some LSD when he wrote it, and he was frying, and he thought ants were crawling everywhere, so he wrote about it. He was just high. That's probably what happened. It is the 70s. Some of the comments were to that effect. Oh, there were also bad ant puns, like antithesis and Antifa. That was funny. Stuff like that. Adam Ant, you know, of course, the band from the 80s. Also, the lady was named Adams, so there were jokes about the Adams family, Wednesday, and Cousin It, and stuff like that in the comments. No. Had the hotel been from the Adams family, it would have been darker, twisted. And the evil businessman would have been served up as the food later on. But that scene from Jurassic Park where they have the T-Rex allegedly can't see you because his eyesight is bad, which is apparently not true. In this story, the ants, they can't see them, so if they just hold still, they get past the ants at the end. There's a stretch where they claim 20 minutes goes by while they're building suspense in the final act, where it isn't 20 minutes, it's like 5. They had this weird scene in which 3 of the actors had to be covered in the ants just crawling all over them and stuff, and I imagine that was really, really difficult to film that. Have to go through some horrors in the movie. They probably never wanted to go anywhere near anything creepy crawly ever again. But yeah, there's not CG. Their guest star was John Culp, the sculpture guy that does the wood sculptures of eagles and eagle and an owl and a bunch of other stuff. Like a badger, a bison, a couple of other things. Or was it a beaver? Anyway, so yeah, the guy was kind of cool, and he told Vincent, the rocker guy, that he shouldn't try it because he'll cut his leg off. Would have been bad. But yeah, so yeah, it was Ants was not a good. It was similar to Avalanche in that it was kind of like a disaster movie in a hotel type chalet building place, a country club kind of thing. It was a hotel next to the woods, so you figured there'd be ants there. The ants have been affected by the environment and the toxic environment, and the toxic guy first doesn't believe them that it's ants doing it, even though he's yelled at by the village people looking dude with a beard. He's kind of dense. There's also a muscle guy who's dense. Somebody from The Incredible Hulk, I think. And so there's, but it's not Lou Ferrigno. It was the other, Big P or something. So, creepy crawly bugs and things. How much time is this? This is not going to be a long review. Maybe just wanted to get the things through it. Here we have, last week was the giant claw. I didn't watch it again. We skipped last week. But yeah, we're not necessarily going to follow all of the creature feature movies each week necessarily, because that's their schedule. Why are we copying their schedule? These are meant to be reviews of reviews, so they're commentary. Mainly, yeah. So it was it was kind of boring in places. The movie, it just wasn't. Definitely had a TV movie feel. Had some good effects with ants going around, ant-like creatures or whatever. The props. They probably used actual ants, but they were like black ants or something. They didn't really bite. They also had the music was interesting in places. Some of the music was interesting, like instrumental, weird, trippy stuff. Somebody likened it to Frank Zappa. Something like Birdman. I thought. It's more like that existential, trippy Mamba stuff from that time period, more so than Zappa. Well, Zappa did some of that stuff. Zappa was quoted in there a couple times, but mainly, yeah, it was maybe like Kingfish, a little bit like that, a little bit of that vibe to it. Anyway, so yeah, I really have nothing more on ants. This would have nothing to do with a Pixar movie. This was the '77 one. Covered in ants. Oh, there was a scene where they rescue someone from the hook and ladder thing, and the stunt person is freaking out, hanging on the thing. They almost killed the stunt person, or at least they almost killed the dummy. It was stealing from the. Yeah, I'm sure they didn't actually endanger the stunt person, with almost death right there. Yeah. That would suck. So there were also they planned to set fire to the building, which they didn't do, and they set fire to the outside of the ant place, burning up the new building they were building. Well, bystanders are sitting there. The bystanders were attacked, but then they started the fire, and that somehow scared the ants away from the bystanders. Yeah, they were putting gasoline in the house, but it wasn't doing it. But they didn't use that. Instead, they stood there among the fumes, and they got the old lady out of the house. Then they stood there among the fumes, and then they held perfectly still, like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. They've since disproven that scene from Jurassic Park, in that the T-Rex actually didn't have bad eyesight and could see you. Not only that, the T-Rex's nose is really big, its nasal cavities and everything. It could smell you a mile away. So the T-Rex totally knew they were there. It just wasn't hungry. Like Grant should have said in Jurassic Park, he sort of said, well, this particular T-Rex just ate the lawyer. Well, most of him. So he's not hungry right now. So if we hide perfectly still, maybe he won't eat us. Because he won't be hungry, you see. Because he ate most of the lawyers. Oh, no. This is Gennaro. I think this one's too. Ow. Anyway, so yes. Life finds a way. Industrial crazy ant things. Hopefully they will be doing some other things later. Anyway, that's it.